welcome back to day 3 of the Northern Ireland Travel News Virtual Forum, Kickstart the Recovery in association with Jet2 Holidays. The last couple of days have been very informative, some great panelists and some super subjects that we've covered over that time. I think everybody needs to be gaining in confidence going forward, and it's great to have those panelists giving us some sort of encouragement. We're delighted to facilitate this event. Unfortunately, we'd have loved to have been together live, but health and safety is our priority. So we're just going to have to wait till August to the big travel trade event, and then we'll all get together at that point. Today's session is specifically devoted to our new and emerging Association of Northern Ireland Travel Agents, which over the last year has spearheaded the campaign for financial support from our local assembly. So well done to all involved. It is imperative that this association goes from strength to strength. And we've brought together an experienced panel today to show how important it can be going forward. Let me introduce our wonderful panel for the Association of Northern Ireland Travel Agents session with Damian Murphy, Interim Chair of ANITA, Joanne Dooey, President of the Scottish Passenger Agents Association, Brenda Morgan, MBE, Chair of the Northern Ireland Tourism Alliance, and Luke Petherbridge, ABTA Director of Public Affairs. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of our Kickstart the Recovery Forum in association with Jet2 Holidays. Absolutely delighted to be joined here for this Association of Northern Ireland Travel Agents session with Damian Murphy, Joanne Dooey, Brenda Morgan, and Luke Petherbridge. You're all very welcome. Thank you. So let's get started with the first question. We'll start with you, Joanne. Could you give a brief overview of your organisation and its members and the benefits and the achievements that you have had with the SPAA?
Well, the SPAA was formed back in 1921, so this year is actually our centenary year, and we are the oldest travel association in the world. So currently we have 120 members. Now the members consist of multiples, so we have the likes of Dooey, we have Hayes Travel, we have Barhead, so their membership is one, but obviously they've got a lot of branches. And we also have 78 associate members, and associate members consist of airlines, tour operators, bed banks, so obviously they're an association. We originally formed as a passenger agents company association sale. It was for agents selling sea packages across the world, mostly to do with immigration and transportation back in the day, and it was very much a very competitive business, so we were in danger that the Scottish voice wasn't going to be heard in that industry, hence why the SPAA was formed. Today we represent virtually all the leisure and business travel agents in Scotland, which include, as I said, all the large agents like Barhead, Dooey, Hayes, but we also represent small independent agencies. We support consortia and also home workers, which we've seen a vast amount of members in the home working sector come in over the past few years. The main benefit of being a member of the SPAA, I would say, it's that we tend to do our best to look after the Scottish interests. We have got a very good working relationship with politicians in the Scottish Government, and we do get involved with any legislation that's getting implemented in Scotland or across the UK. We also have a very close working relationship with our airports, all 3 airports up here. Oh, sorry, 4, Prestwick, I forgot about them. Airlines and tour operators and our cruise partners. And we also work very closely with our associate partners, so all our operators. We have built up the respect as an organisation over the years, and we do tend to be used as a sounding board with our associate members. We work very closely with the agency community via our various communication channels, as well as organising and running lots of networking events. So we have, seminars, we have quizzes, we have bespoke meetings, and we have exhibitions. On the political front, we work alongside many other travel-related associations. We've got a very strong relationship with ABTA, with IATA, with CLIA, and many other associations out there. and we actively lobby Westminster as well as the Scottish Government, and I think that's really important. We work together with like-minded organisations such as Safe Future Travel Coalition, and our two main social events are very well documented. Not for all the right reasons, may I add, but obviously our two main events, our February dinner is very much, it's the oldest travel dinner in the world, and it brings together tradition with a lot of high profile speakers from across the industry, talking about related travel topics that are relevant today. And our other big event is obviously our awards, and it is seen as one of the main, you know, award ceremonies in the UK calendar, which is talked about, and as I said, not always for good reasons. We're very much seen as having a membership at the heart of everything that we do. We are a members association. We do not have a commercial stance, and I think that's really important. So we can give sound feedback to our membership and to our associate membership. We're also known as having been for many years a ginger group who consistently have been known for its straight talking, and we don't hold back any barriers. We do say it as it is. What achievements have we had? We've never been afraid to take on organisations over the years, and we've had some major success histories, you know, with the likes of British Airways, with IATA, and more recently with the Scottish Government, you know, getting the grants through for Scotland. We were heavily involved in that. We have been involved with different things with regards to APD with the government, and we were heavily involved in getting, you know, the APD for children abolished through working with other groups. So, you know, we do tend to be out there fighting for our membership, for our association, and being able to be approachable all the time. So I think that's one of our main things, that people see us as being approachable and coming forward to the SPAA with anything they want to talk to us about, or if they're looking for any kind of advice.
Very good, very comprehensive. Brenda, would you like to give us a view from the Northern Ireland Tourism Alliance?
Yeah, so Tourism Alliance was founded just over 3 years ago. So we're still very young and growing. We are an organisation which represents one voice for tourism, and that was the need to have one body that represented the very diverse elements of the industry. It's an independent voice, and it represents and highlights the importance of the tourism economy, which sometimes obviously can be not seen as a key economic driver, and that again was one of the key priorities we had in certainly the first year, was to have the industry recognised, but also to really give the various different sectors a voice as well, because some weren't that well represented. With currently 37 members, and that comes from public and also private membership, but also organisations such as looking at as well. So it's quite, the various sectors come from tour guides to councils to tourism bodies, in terms of Tourism Northern Ireland, Tourism Ireland, but also Northern Ireland Hotel Federation. So again, very, very diverse, but with that brings obviously the diversity of challenges, objectives and priorities as well. So again, it's that one representation for the industry, but that again has positioned itself very well over COVID, because when we're talking to government, and obviously it's a very crowded space, that has worked very well, because we are covering all of the industry, not just part of it. So COVID actually has accelerated our success to a certain degree. So happy to share that with you later.
Very good, thank you very much. And Luke, from ABTA's position, could you give us their background, please? Yeah,
well, last year was ABTA's 70th year. We have around 4,300 brands in membership, and of course we're the largest UK-wide travel association. Members have around 80,000 employees, and there's about 16,000 home workers now within the ABTA membership as well, building on what Joanne said. Of course, that's an increasingly big part of the travel industry, and back in 2019, ahead of COVID, combined turnover of about £40 billion across the ABTA membership. So it's pretty sizable industry. I think ABTA's main role really is kind of being that voice of travel across the UK from benefits perspective. The obvious one is the financial protection side, which would be very well known, of course. We are the largest approved body under the Department of Business approved body scheme. We also have a code of conduct that all members adhere to, and of course all of that brings a level of brand recognition within the consumers that I think is pretty unique for a trade body, and which has held up actually pretty well throughout the last year, despite all of the refunds crisis and stuff. And we have been surveying that regularly so that we can feed that back to members, because we know it's an important factor from ABTA's side. Beyond that, of course, the lobbying team that I head up, we have been proactive across the last year in terms of, we sit on the Tourism Industry Council anyway. We've been heavily involved in work with the Global Travel Task Force, and the expert steering group the Department for Transport has as a kind of business as usual group talking to industry. We've been working with bodies like the SPAA and ANITA, and of course NITA, which we are a member of, as Brenda said, to ensure that the voice of travel is heard across the UK. We also have, beyond my team, obviously legal support. We have communication support. So there's been people from our communications team out there fighting the industry's corner pretty widely over the last year. Thousands of kind of media articles and opportunities like this, and broadcast opportunities as well to fight the industry's corner and get our case out there. And in addition, we have our partnership scheme that gives members access to legal firms, accountants and other core services, which is a really tangible benefit. So throughout the last year, we've been running things like chargeback helplines for members to help with what has been a crucial issue for the agency community in particular. And of course, we have our events program, both paid for and free events to kind of keep members informed. But it's a really quite broad church at ABTA, so everything from kind of sustainability and destination government relationships through to that financial protection side. So a pretty broad agenda.
Quite a bit, a big organisation. I know this is a hard question to a certain extent for you, Damian, because it's just the formation of ANITA, but maybe you could just give us a wee bit of a background about certainly the achievement that you've had in the last wee while.
Yeah, sure. Well, do you know what I was actually thinking there when I was listening to Joanne, and she's saying their organisation's been going for 100 years. They're the oldest organisation, but obviously we've been going for 1 year. We're the newest. And in terms of what we hope to achieve, I was nearly thinking if I could just copy and paste her interview and stick it onto mine, I would nearly do, because it was very copy. And a lot of what you said, Joanne, is really what we're aspiring to. ANITA was really, it was already in the thoughts of people before the pandemic hit last year. It didn't just necessarily spring from the pandemic. The thoughts were already there, but the occurrence of the pandemic gave us a spur and made us move a bit quicker in what we wanted to do. And in terms of talking about our members, I mean, at the minute, we haven't had any elections, we haven't had any official joining processes. So at the minute, our members are assumed to be anyone who works in the travel industry in Northern Ireland. So that's the agents, tour operators, anyone press, anyone who feels they could be part of ANITA, really, we're happy to represent them. And I think I'm right in saying, certainly in all my years in travel, this is the first time I have been part of an organisation that does represent everyone in Northern Ireland who works in travel. There certainly are no others at the minute. So, I mean, the main benefit is that you would get now is that you have a better chance of being heard. Our industry are hugely underrepresented here in Northern Ireland, certainly on a political platform. We're certainly with good representation with tour operators, with ABTA, but I think all of us coming together, and I hope Luke will agree, would strengthen our voice with ABTA, not necessarily strengthen, but make it clearer, give us the chance to put over, in a more clear format exactly what we would like from ABTA or how they can help us further. And I mean, we're talking about achievements. Well, I mean, one of the big ones was I've set on that the Save Future Travel Coalition with Luke under his expert guidance. And a year ago, nobody had heard of ANITA. ANITA's well known now, not just in Northern Ireland, but throughout the Dublin, Scotland, England, and even Wales, and South Ireland as well. The Save Future Travel Coalition has been hugely instrumental in getting its voice heard with the government. And we've been able to sit in that and relay what's happening in Northern Ireland so that we can also be represented there as well. And I suppose our one big achievement has been getting the grant for the travel agents in Northern Ireland. We started out, got everyone that we could involved. We lobbied, we pestered everyone we could think of. And basically the process was narrowing it down to people that we knew could help us, and find out exactly who could help us, who was interested in helping us. It wasn't everyone. Finding out which department was interested in helping us. And I have to add, that was maybe the most difficult process we faced, because it became apparent that either no department wanted us or was prepared to take us on. So in the end, we were lucky enough that we managed to get right to the top of the Northern Ireland Executive, and we persuaded them to get our grant over the line. Now, what we've done now is we've set up quite a number of next tasks or ongoing asks that we're interested in doing. And I'll come to them later on, but we are new. So, you know, our achievements are limited, but I think the one big achievement so far has been getting the grant for both travel agents and home workers.
I think there's the term punching above your weight that applies more so to you guys than to anybody else. What you've achieved in this short period of time has been fantastic. So congratulations to you. Second question, I'll start with you, Brenda. What do you think are the elements in making an association effective for its members?
Well, I think it's a mix of elements. Communication, firstly, is key, and you have to have consistent communication. But also that engagement, you need to really understand your members, because in our case, our members are so diverse in some cases that you know, they have different challenges, different objectives, and their strategies are different, but they're also changing, which is why you need to keep that engagement continuing. But also, one of the things that we have a very, very strong membership from you know, various different sectors, as I said, but we actually utilise their skills. And I think that's been one of our strengths as well, in terms of helping us to engage with the decision makers. We're also very lean. We've one employee who's our CEO, but lots of support. And we've really embraced the membership and tried to bring them into almost like the NITA family, so that they have the buy-in, and they also are engaged in the subcommittees and also in terms of the forums. And we also ensure that if we are talking to the decision makers, be it nationally or locally, we try to involve our membership. And again, it's having that inclusive platform. And I think that's very important for the organisation as well. It's not just about NITA, it's not about one person. It's about having the platform that the membership can use, and also that allows us to influence even further. As what Damian said, you know, you're dealing with multi-departments, multi-organisations, and that can be quite challenging, because what your objectives are may not fit into their strategy plans or even their remits. So it's trying to make sure that if you have a membership that is as diverse, that you can influence at all of those levels. And that's really coming again to understanding who your members are, what their needs are, and how you can obviously help them to ensure that they're getting value for money out of the membership as well, but also that you become much more effective if you're working collaboratively together rather than just being a representation for them. So again, to recognise that and to recognise the diverse needs of the membership is key.
Absolutely. Certainly one size doesn't fit all in all of these situations, that's for sure. Luca, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, completely agree with the points Brenda was raising there, really. It's all about communication, isn't it? Making sure that your members are part of what you're doing. You have a kind of shared common goal, which right now is the recovery of the travel industry, isn't it? Between all of us. And, you know, whether it's travel agents, tour operators, crews, you know, up to obviously a broad church, but ensuring that all parts of the membership are plugged in has been crucial to us. We have our Council of Regions, which is obviously where we get the agency voice. We have our policy committees. We've been doing regular webinars and meetings with members across the entirety of the UK over the last year, in particular throughout COVID. So, and I think, you know, making sure members do feel engaged and they are part of it is really important. Also, industry collaboration as well, to be honest, I think is important to make sure that you are, you know, joining up with others. Damian mentioned the Safe Future Travel Coalition that ABTA has been coordinating since well, spring last year. SPAA obviously part of that, and Damian and ANITA part of that as well. And we also are part of other bodies such as NITA in Northern Ireland, and again, making sure that you're part of that kind of wider industry voice is really important as well. And I think, you know, ensuring that members feel that they're part of that entire process, feeding in their views, you're reflecting their views and getting those felt across the wider industry is really, really key. And it's something that I think, you know, ABTA is making sure that it's part of what we do every day.
Yeah, communication is key. Joanne, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Brenda and Luke have actually said, and I think there is a need for a group of people who run the association, that they are spread geographically around the area, so they're not all, because like in Scotland we tend to have on our council, and our council consists of 12 people who actually do this freely without any pay. The only person in the SPA that is paid is obviously the secretary, and anything that we do out there media, if we've got, you know, somebody that's freelance. Now, our secretary is part-time, but if we need more time, they get involved. But everybody else, including the president, all do this freely of their own time, and it is important that every aspect of the industry is represented. So our council is made up of people who work in leisure travel, travel agents. It works, we have business agents involved as well, and I think you need to appoint an elected president or a chair of the association, because you do need to have some sort of figurehead. So I think that's important, you know, moving forward, that, you know, I need to do that kind of thing as well. The council members, as I say, all do it freely of their own time, and they're representing the members. And I think this is really important, that whoever is on this council or, you know, on the association, that they are doing it for the good of the industry. And there's no time to be parochial, and you have to sometimes leave your own issues at home and make sure that you're representing the needs of this inclusive association. We work very closely with our members, either our associate members or our agency members, and we do get, you know, a lot of feedback, and we do our best to try and answer anything that comes and push it in the right direction. The council does need to represent the full spectre of travel, and I agree with that. And I think if you've only got, you know, leisure agents on there, it won't work. You need to have representation of business, travel and leisure. We regularly have monthly meetings, and people feed into us, and we do our best to get answers and get it back. We set a clear agenda for the meeting, and we follow up on anything that's on that agenda and anything that is actually flagged to us. The other thing is about membership. We have two types of membership, two tiers. We have a membership for individual companies, and we do keep this very low. The price of becoming a member of the SPA is very, very reasonable. And we also have a home workers membership, which is like £35 a year. And the benefits that they get from it, you know, we keep them at a very reasonable level, but the benefits they get, you know, that we have weekly updates, and during COVID we were doing daily updates, and we were pulling all the information together in one precise bit of information going out to people. We do have a lot of seminars, we have meetings, you know, there's lots of things. The lunches and the seminars do work really well, and we do have closed user groups on social media, and there is very much that family, like Brenda mentioned, and I know the Irish, you know, you guys are doing the same. There's that family membership there. We all feel as if we're all looking after each other, and we're all out there for one cause, which is to get what we think that we should be getting for our industry. And I think that's probably the main things with what I feel the SPA, you know, that the members feel that they get from our association.
Very good. Damian, do you want to add anything to that as well?
Yeah, I'll add briefly, Jonathan. Having listened to the other three, really part of our role or how we could be effective is listening to other people, like I've just heard there. hearing what they've got to say and how their organisations are run, and how we can benefit from, you know, liaising with them and listening to them. I mean, I think it's very important, number one, that any organisation, and obviously I'm talking here about ANITA, will, when it's eventually formed properly, will have an effective leadership, and it has to be one that's backed by its members. So therefore, it has to be properly elected and organised in that sort of way. In turn, the members have got to feel valued. But I think it's important that they've got to feel they're going to get something by being a member of this organisation that they wouldn't have if they weren't a member of it. So they've also got to value their membership. They've got to membership with me. So I think there has to be a buy-in, even if it's a nominal yearly fee. But if they put that forward, well, then they've invested something in this organisation, and that they feel their investment is worth getting something back out of it again. The organisation itself must carry some weight, and that's obvious and essential. We've already demonstrated that we're on the way to being listened to in certain spheres. I know I keep mentioning the political sphere, but I think it's incredibly important that we have a voice there. And ANITA must prove that they will carry some weight with the Northern Ireland Executive and can be heard. And as I said, we've started to prove that already with our quest for funding. It took a while. And really, part of the reason it took so long was finding the right people to listen, who were going to listen to us, the right people who we could speak to. So we've proved that we can do that, and I think we can prove that we can do further things for members going forward.
Very good. Yeah, like I say, I thought it was essential. You know, from we were chatting yesterday about the fact that we don't have a UK joined-up policy as far as different governments are concerned for even the relaxing of lockdown. You know, we don't even know if the 17th of May is going to apply to Northern Ireland. So, and from that point of view, you know, having ANITA there to actually go to our local assembly for the money was essential for that to be successful. So that's where it happened. You've covered some of the things there, but question 3, Damian said it there in regard to, you know, a contribution coming from the members themselves financially. The question was, it is said that to be a successful, any new association membership led has to have buy-in from the travel agents themselves. How important do you think this is? Start with you, Luke.
Well, buy-in from your membership is absolutely essential, and it's something that obviously, as Damian was saying, being able to demonstrate kind of effectiveness will be a crucial part of that, and the funding activity that ANITA's undertaken with Northern Ireland Activities Executive has been excellent, and we're building on that. We're working together on the reopening and trying to ensure that the executive is you know, aligning with what's happening in Westminster, and that we do get clarity on when travel can restart, international travel can restart to Northern Ireland. But yeah, of course, you know, having an engaged and a membership that feels they have a stake in the association is going to be critical. But I think they've made an excellent start in that front, I have to say.
I meant it also from the point of view of a financial, you know, buy-in to the association, because, you know, people have been very supportive, you know, of the notion of ANITA in itself. You know, going, yeah, it's a great idea, everything else. And sometimes you can rely on a wee bit of sponsorship here for somebody to get these things going, but, you know, that can die out very quickly, and you need the members to feel that they have a financial stakeholder in it, and actually move it forward from there. So that was the point I was making, was about the actual buy-in. Joanne, do you want to add anything to that?
I do agree that you do need the buy-in, and obviously the SPAA Council is made up of agents. It's only leisure agents or business agents. We do not have tour operators actually sitting on our council, and that has been the case for the past 100 years. And I do feel it's important, because we are representing the travel agents most of the time, and I think you need to have people who know what it's like at the coalface. You know, they've been there, they've done it, they see the frustrations, what the agent's up against every day. So we're there fighting their ground in their corner. And I think you do need to know what you're talking about. And we do work very, very closely with our member organisation, all the agents that are members out there. We work closely with them, we get their feedback, we find out what they're not happy about. If there's anything the SPAA is doing that they're not happy about, we do take that feedback on board and do our best to try and work, you know, with everyone. But I do think it is important that you do work very closely. And as I say, I don't know how ANITA is going to make up, if you are going to make up a council, but we do feel that we have carried on many occasions. We've had a lot of operators and airlines coming to us and asking to be part of the council, but we have always kept it the way it is with regards to it just being actual members, either in travel agents or leisure or business travel agents. We do have the associates involved with seminars, we have them involved with the dinner in February, but as the council, it's very much agent led.
Very good. Brenda, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, well, I guess NITA and ANITA are probably in similar position. We're a non-profit making organisation and very young, so therefore, you know, resource is key and finance is key, because if you do want to, you know, provide the platforms that the members need, the like of webinars and forums and just even administration, there is a cost element to that. And like anything, there's no free lunches out there anymore. Bottom line is you get out of it what you put into it. So membership is key. I would suggest there's probably a nominal fee with regards to ANITA, the same as NITA. And as I said, we're not here for profit, but if you want the support, you have to invest in it. And you only are as good as your membership at the end of the day. So ANITA does need that support and for the membership buy-in. And also, if what we do find is that it's creating the value. So you can only create the value whenever you've got the membership input as well. Mm-hmm. And what we've found more recently is actually the value of the membership has sort of changed from where we started in year one to where we are now. COVID in particular, we started just doing like an evening summary with regards to the updates, and what we find is the membership has found that essential because there was so much information coming from all areas, some of it confusing, some of it very fluid, but they were able to actually take that on, and they knew it was coming at a certain time in the day, and that's what they formed a lot of their decisions on for their own business. But again, that takes time, that takes effort, that takes resource. And that's where it's very, very important for ANITA just not to be, you know, just with regards to Damian and Richard and Tracy, they need that support. So it's not just financial, it's actual physical as well. But again, that's where, you know, you evolve, hopefully past this crisis, and obviously establish yourselves as the organisation that you're hoping to be, and will be very, very successful in doing so. Very
good. Yeah, communication is key. Damian, would you like to add anything to
that? I'll keep this bit very brief, Jonathan, because I said a wee bit on the second question there, and I think what the others are saying, there's no way I'm going to speak any better than that, because we are so new. Just to recap, I think the organisation, and at the minute, myself, Richard and Tracy are running it, that's fair enough, but that will possibly change, and we're prepared obviously to stand down when the time comes when there's going to be proper elections. But I think it's important that anyone who's buying into this feels, and my word is the same as Brenda's, that they're making an investment. When I turn around to become a member of ANITA, which of course I will, whatever the membership fee is, hopefully it won't be too much, I will consider that payment as an investment in this organisation. And hopefully everyone else out there are going to look at it the same way. To buy into an organisation, they're also buying into the people who are going to be running it. So they're going to have a say in who's going to be running it, but they've got to have their voice, and the people who are running it must represent their feelings, you know, and their thoughts and their needs. Particularly, you know, at the minute, we have more needs than we've ever had. But that will change, that will evolve as the years go on. So it's important that we set up a proper structure to begin with, one that can change as it needs to change, but one that the membership will feel that they're buying into, will feel they're having a say, and will look to other organisations like ABTA, like the Scottish Passenger Association, and say, look, that's what we're aspiring to, that's what we're going to become, and that's what I want to be a part of.
Very good, very good. I think actually you've led us quite nicely into our next question, was What should a member expect to get from being a member of ANITA and the benefits and the representation? Can we take it from an SPAA point of view, Joanne? What do your members expect? And
I think we believe there is power in numbers. So the more that you represent, the better chance you've got of getting your foot in the door with regards to anything political. I think, we've proved with the recent COVID, situations, the work that we've done with the Scottish Government. So we have got a voice in there now, and we are seen as the voice in Scotland. And that has came through years and years of hard work with lots of people who have actually sat on the SPAA over the years, who have built their relationships up with the Scottish Government. And, it's great to see how, ANITA have done that already. And it's maybe, I know we can't say there's a lot of good that's come out of COVID, but that's maybe one thing, that we have got better working relationships with our local governments. And it's important that Scotland and Ireland, and we do come together and we work together, as well, because the regional areas aren't always represented great in Westminster. So I think, that's a main thing with regards to the lobbying. Members need to be represented by a group of council members or trustees who have a wealth of knowledge in the industry, who know about the industry, who have worked in the industry, who understand it, who know what the pitfalls are. So I think that's really important. These people need to be able to put their head above the parapet and not bother about getting knocked down, because you do get knocked down a lot. And, especially just now with what's been on in COVID, we've had to be outspoken as an association. The SPAA have been out there and we have been saying things that not everybody agrees with, especially if they don't work in our industry. And you have to have broad shoulders, because you will get brought down and people will talk and people will say things that do hurt you, but you have to be able to not take it personally and be out there saying, I am doing this for the good of our industry, for some sort of survival. And I think that's one of the hardest things that we've had recently, but we are out there, screaming about issues for our membership. We also are a sounding forum for people, so they can reach out to us for advice and for help when it's needed, because a lot of the time what some agents are going through, we've already went through it, or somebody else in our council have went through it. And it's about talking, to people, and they know that they can come to us and we will keep it in the council if they need us to. We also are seen very much as a big networking group, the SPAA, where we have been used over the years for new people entering the industry who will come to us and come to maybe some of our events, and we will then help them to introduce them to new people. So we've done this with new agents, meeting operators at events, setting up meetings for people, and vice versa with new associates who are maybe new out on the road, getting to know some of the Scottish agents. We're also being used, and one of the benefits is a bit of a mentoring group as well for young people entering the industry. So that's another big thing, getting youngsters involved. We had the SPAA Young Person of the Year Award, things like that. And we work closely with some agents that have got younger people. We were supposed to be doing Sparkle Awards this year to recognise the people at the coal front, and we were bringing in trainees into that as well. So, we're seen out there as, in the past, a lot of the social events are what the SPAA has been seen for, but nobody really seen what was going on behind the background really until COVID, and they didn't see the political side. Now, obviously, Luke knows, because Luke works very closely, ABTA and SPAA work very close together, and the SPAA always have had a big political voice in Scotland, but nobody ever really knew about it. And I think something that we've learned over the past few years is that we need to start shouting about what we are doing out there, because in the past we haven't. And that is something, when I became president, I felt we need to tell our membership about everything. Communication is key, but there were certain things that we were doing and we were getting cut through with, but we were keeping it to ourselves. We weren't shouting about it, and I think that's something that is really important as well.
Absolutely. Shared experience is everything, that's for sure. Luke, of course, you've been at the forefront of the future travel and working with the SPAA, but benefits as far as your members are concerned, what should they expect?
Well, I think yeah, that plug in with the wider industry and, you know, the Safe Future Travel kind of side, and also NITA in Northern Ireland is going to be something that people are looking to get out of a new association. Of course it is, you know, because it gives that kind of local voice within those broader channels. You know, I mean, ABTA, I support most of what Joanne has said, to be honest. You know, what members are looking for is you know, representation. They're looking to have their voice heard and amplified, of course, and that's why communications and fantastic work that our communications team does, kind of representing the industry out there, and that voice is really important too. And then, of course, it's, you know, it's the support and the expertise and the advice they can get from their peers within a group like SPAA or ANITA, and certainly within ABTA as well. That kind of networking element, as Joanne says, is really crucial. And then access to, you know, wider measures of support, so legal support or, you know, accountant signposting to other experts that are really important to businesses on a day-to-day basis. Again, is something that an association brings, and of course that's why people are part of associations. They want, you know, that when they lift their head up or they have a problem, a challenge comes across their desk, they want someone they can turn to and get that advice and support and expertise. And ultimately, that's why we're all here.
I was just going to say, when I'm listening to you there, it's just someone to turn to, that you actually, there's someone there for you. You're not on your own, which a lot of people were at the start of this. Brenda, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I think it is just having that support for the members, as what Luke said and Joanne said. You know, COVID, they needed someone to turn to, and also to deliver their message and their challenges. And I think certainly from a NITA perspective, that's what we've been doing this past year, like everyone. But there is other sides, as what Joanne and Luke have suggested. It is, you know, post-COVID, we are going to get through this. But some of the things we're working on is the lack of skills and skilling up within the industry, and also attracting people back into the industry again, because obviously with furlough, some have decided to leave. And with that is the skill set that's left as well. And especially in the hospitality area, you know, we see our hotels going out with big recruitment campaigns at the minute because they have lost so many staff. So again, government need to be aware of that. They also need to be supportive of that. So that's, again, part of what we're working on in our agenda going forward, with HATS, who are another organisation that have been developed but we're working in collaboration with that particular organisation. But it is that member to member, it is that network, it is that strength in numbers that Joanne had alluded to. And there's nothing like that collaboration that gets the voice heard even more. And, you know, that's what we're looking forward to seeing from a NITA point of view, because even travel and tourism should be seen as one. From a transportation point of view, you need your outbound as much as you need your inbound. But to date here in Northern Ireland, that's two different departments, two different remits and two different strategies. So even to have that joined up approach, that's strength in numbers, but a similar agenda. And I think that's the benefit of memberships collaborating and coming together as well.
Absolutely, very much so. Well, that's been an incredible discussion right across the board from all the different areas. What I wanted to finish with was I wanted to actually go to Joanne to talk to us about the SPAA, because that's the closest thing that ANITA can relate to, being a regional travel agents organisation. So what I was wanting to ask was, what were the main issues for you this year in the SPAA, and how did you overcome these?
Where do we start with COVID? I think probably the main issue was the lobbying that we were doing. We were lobbying constantly. We were constantly writing letters to government and to MSPs, and we felt we were getting nowhere. And you feel as if you're banging your head against a brick wall, and sometimes you just want to kind of say, that's it, I'm not doing any more. And I think the biggest thing and the most important thing is to take a step back, pull yourself back, look at your objectives, reform the group of people that are on the council and talk things through and get back on it again. And I think there was lots of occasions we could have easily just walked away. And I would say that's the biggest thing you need to be able to do, is to take a step back and not take things too personally. You know, one of the biggest things I would say, and I've mentioned that a bit earlier, that, you know, it is about not taking things to heart. You're representing an industry, it's not about you. So you have to really, really look at that. You know, the other thing I think was important is with us was consistency in our council. We've been very lucky that we've got people on the SPAA council that have been on the council for like 18, 19 years. So we've went through everything over the years. Well, a lot of things, obviously we've not had COVID, but, you know, so we could relate back to things that had happened in the past and use the expertise on that council of how, as an association, we handled it in the past, and use it. And I think the biggest thing as well is just getting the advice from the whole of the council on the SPAA and working collectively. We don't always agree, and I'm being honest with you, you know, you will get, and I think that's good. You want people with different opinions that are sitting on it. So there's been lots of occasions where we've not agreed on stuff, but we've panned it out, we've spoke about it, we've put it out there in the open. You know, some of us have to take a step back and go, right, well, I disagree, but I'm going to go with this. And then if it works, you know, you were big enough to say you were right, you know, with other council members. So I think that's the main thing. But if I give any advice, it would be, if at first you don't succeed, try again, because I feel as if that's all we do. We bang at that door all the time at the Scottish Government just now, mostly this year, because it's so important, and there's still people in our industry that have not been looked at, and there's still issues out there that, you know, we're not going to have a joined up. We've asked for a Four Nations approach, and that's something that's really, really frustrating, especially in Scotland and Ireland will be the same. You know, if the UK government open up and England can travel, but Scotland and Ireland can't, you know, that causes us issues again, and it's keeping banging at that drum that we want a Four Nations approach. So I think that's probably been the biggest frustrations. Also, our members are not working just now, and a lot of our associate members aren't working just now, and making sure that we can keep in touch with them. So we've been doing lots of drop-in coffee mornings, so we have members on that with some associate members every Wednesday morning. We've done that just to check in on each other and make sure that our members are okay, because we've got a lot of people who are working on their own, and you know, I'm very lucky I've got somebody else in the industry I live with that, you know, that we can hit off each other. But there's members out there that don't really speak to a lot of people. There's home workers that maybe don't see anybody at all. So it's making sure that we touch base with our communications that we put out in our newsletters, or that we do our coffee mornings, and we carry on keeping that rapport going with everybody. But I think that has been the difficult one, with not having events and seeing people, having to actually do it all remotely.
Absolutely. Luke, would you like to add anything to that? I'm sure massive support for the SPAA during the last year.
No, absolutely. I mean, the final point Joanne finished there on is really important, isn't it? This is a hugely sociable industry. So just being there and actually being someone that people can turn to has been really important throughout the year. I mean, from our perspective, of course, as Joanne said, you know, we're pushing for kind of Four Nations approach where we can, and that collaboration with organisations like SPAA and ANITA and NITA have been really critical in that regard. So, you know, sharing evidence, sharing intelligence, sharing what works in different places, and, you know, taking the learnings from that. We know when we do finally get recovery that you know, there are going to be Four Nations elements there that need taking care of. You know, what do they do around Foreign Office advice? That's going to affect all of us, of course. You know, consumer protection reforms, when they happen, will be Four Nations. So we will need to continue to work together. But for now, I think, you know, that safe future travel coordination and collaboration that's already going on, the coordination we have through bodies like NITA are excellent. We need to continue that, and as Joanne said, just be there for the members, really. And you know, from ABTA, that's been our critical kind of focus, whether it be lobbying or legal or communications or destinations, whatever it might be. You know, just being there actually as a source of advice, and members can pick up the phone and just have a chat, has been really valuable. We've been running regular kind of member webinars every couple of weeks, and doing the member conference calls and the regional meetings, of course, that we do. We added in an extra round of those so that we could have a face-to-face with members and just discuss those issues. And I think that that's critical right now, just being there.
Very good. That's been an incredible discussion. I'm actually going to just go back to Damian to finish us off. To maybe he has a message to sum it up for what's happened this morning. I think it's been a really positive step, ANITA being formed, and I'm sure it will go strength to strength going forward. But maybe Damian, you'd like to say a few words?
Sure. Just to finish, Jonathan, I think if I'd like to reach out to everyone in travel in Northern Ireland and say, look, this is an opportunity to be a member of really what would be a unique group. It'll be the only group of its kind in Northern Ireland, possibly the only group like this there's ever been. The one thing we're desperately seeking here is proper representation at an executive or political level. So far, we've managed to get a fair bit of TV coverage, radio coverage, press coverage, and we're thankful certainly to Northern Ireland Travel News for their coverage and their help throughout this. So we think we can take that forward. We're certainly not here to interfere with anyone, any of the consortia, with ABTA, anyone like that. And I mean, I suppose certain consortia have been more to the fore than others. My company's a member of Advantage, and they've been very to the fore in helping through this pandemic. And I know they've been working closely with Luke on it. If we get everyone to come together here, we've got 100+ bricks and mortar offices. We've got all our home workers. We've got everyone else who doesn't have the proper office as well, that I would call a proper office, but who maybe work from home, work from an upstairs office. So, I mean, we can have a strong membership. We can also bring in associate membership. We'd be looking at tour operators, cruise companies. We'd be looking possibly for a bit of sponsorship, them to help us with the odd more night out, maybe farm trips, who knows. Our next leg, which we started yesterday, and we're going to need help with this going forward. We're now asking the Northern Ireland Executive for more support. We all know the hospitality industry will continue to receive their closure grants, even when they're partially opened. So we don't see why we shouldn't be part of that. We want someone dedicated within the Northern Ireland Executive who we can speak to, who there's someone that we can reach out to when we need to speak to them about any issue. We want to make it clear that there's no inbound travel without outbound travel. So, the incoming tourism here needs us to get people on the planes going out as well. We haven't heard them talking about reduced or subsidized PCR costs, which will be essential for us in the short term. We want them to back a campaign, which we feel would be critical. And that would be a publicity campaign to get travel moving again, to make it glamorous again, to get the message over that it can be safe again. We want the announcements from the governments to be coordinated. We don't want certain ministers going on saying one thing one day, as has happened in the not going back too far there, and somebody else having to sidestep it and say something different the next day. And we want to influence them and ask them to help us in our call to possibly prolong the furlough to the end of this year. I know they're not really akin to doing it for specific sectors, but that's what we're asking for anyway. So what we're calling on all the people who are involved in travel in Northern Ireland, get in touch with us now. Are you interested in getting involved? We would like your thoughts on how we take ANITA forward, how we form proper committees, how we go about funding it, what the proposed joining fees should be. We think initially this should be kept as low as possible. But we certainly would take on board any information, any thoughts, any suggestions that anyone wants to have. And I know after the end of this meeting, Jonathan, that you'll provide details for anyone who wants to get in touch with any of the three of us in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, I have to say that was a very comprehensive overview of what the way forward and what you're actually doing now and the next steps. Can I thank all of you for taking the time to really push forward this idea of the new Association of Northern Ireland Travel Agents. And I'm sure we can all get together at our next live event, which hopefully will be in August at the big Travel Trade event. And we can all talk about it again there. But thanks for taking the time. Good luck to you all, and please stay safe. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you to Joanne, Luke, Brenda, and Damian. Great session. Be assured of our support from Northern Ireland Travel News to ANITA going forward in any way we can, so good luck with them. We now look forward to a very special day tomorrow with the Industry Leaders Day. We're delighted to have one-on-one interviews with Mark Tanzer, ABTA Chief Executive, Julia Lobue Said, Advantage Travel Centres Group CEO, and Steve Heapy, CEO of Jet2.com and Jet2 Holidays. A stellar lineup with a view from the top. I look forward to catching up tomorrow, and thank you again. See you then.